good evening. Welcome to Ubuntu channel and welcome also to Ubuntu Sports. We are live again because Bola Yapa Zed is back. The Zambian Super League is back. And to help me analyze the first games of this weekend, I've got Lawrence and I've got Lamek as well. Good evening, Lawrence. Welcome to Ubuntu Sports. It's another Friday.
Good evening, Reuben. Good evening, Lamek, and good evening to our viewers. And it's just as always, great to be on the show this Friday.
Good evening, Lamek. Welcome to Ubuntu Sports. And Bola Yapa Zed is back.
Yeah, good evening, Lawrence. Good evening, Reuben. It's a pleasure to be back, and we've been looking very much forward to the return of the Zambian Super League, and I'm really happy that we'll be able to watch the best league in the world tomorrow.
The best league in the world. Lawrence, the countdown is over, and tomorrow the games start 13 hours at Nkoloma.
The games begin tomorrow, and it's always great to have Bola Yapa Zed back, and always as well great to note that Super Sport is going to be on hand to televise the games, and that is what excites me as always because we need to cover these games as much as possible. I think in the future I would be proud if we can be showing all the games live and direct like that. I'll be very glad, I must say.
Thank you very much to our viewers. Welcome once again to Ubuntu Sports. We come every Friday to bring to you Ubuntu Sports here. And tonight we'll be talking about the coming back of the Zambian Super League. Let's dive into it, Lamek. Masao Tembo is back at Green Buffaloes. Wow, a surprising decision there by Green Buffaloes. The last interview that I had with you concerning the Zambian Super League last season, you told me Green Buffaloes was one of your disappointing teams. What do you expect Sigma also assigned for Green Buffaloes as a coach?
Yeah, it's a very big appointment for Green Buffaloes. They've gone for a young coach. He's very young in his coaching. I think majority of his career he's worked with Perry Mutapa, who's now with Napsa Stars. So this is his second appointment in fact, third appointment as head coach. He was first appointed at Power Dynamos as caretaker coach. He played 5 games, did not manage to get a win, and then Power decided to let go of him. Then he went to FC Muza. FC Muza, we all know how that went. He had a very successful period with FC Muza, helping the club win promotion into the Zambian Super League. And then for that, I think it earned him the trust of the Green Buffaloes hierarchy, who are looking for a replacement for Coach Justin Chinama, a very decent coach who unfortunately was given administrative leave as the league went towards the end because of poor results. Yeah. But for me, I think for Buffaloes, it's a huge call to give Masao the top job at Green Buffaloes. You know, they've just gone for somebody who, yes, he has time in the ZSL, he's coached in the ZSL, but the experience aspect as a head coach in the Super League. And I'll be on hand to watch his first game tomorrow against his former team. I want to see what he has in stock for us. You know, it's good to criticize people, coaches, and all of that, but we'll wait and see what he has in stock for us tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. But Lamek, they're playing with Muza. They're not new to this Super League.
Yeah, FC Muza is a club that is coming up very well. They've, I think, what they did last season, they produced a lot of positive results. They have a very good young team. I think they've made some signings, though a lot of the signings are not as impressive as we would expect. They are just like ZSL. You know, they're just taking players that like were at Lusaka Dynamos and bringing them back here and there, but they're not newcomers to the Super League. They have experience in the Super League, but a lot of the players that they have this season are players that don't really have that much experience in the Zambian Super League. So they may shock us all, but for me, if we go to tomorrow's game, I think Buffaloes are the stronger side. They go into the match as big favorites. Yes, Musa is playing at home and all of that. We all know Nakambala Stadium. They've made a fortress out of that pitch. But tomorrow's match is a big match, a big test for Coach Lamek Banda, who took over as the head coach at Musa, and also for De Souza, who took over as the head coach at Green Buffaloes. Both coaches will be going punch for punch. They worked together. Head coach Lamek was the assistant coach to De Souza, Masauso Tembo at Musa, so they will be going punch for punch, former head coach and his former assistant. So it's an interesting game. I wait to see the tactics that will be at play and how both teams will line up, and we'll get to see the new signings and how impactful they can be in the first game tomorrow.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me turn to you, Lawrence. We know this season we only have two teams that will be playing in the Continental. That is Red Arrows and Zesco United. I think from the preseason, you've been able to see these teams participating in some of the friendly games. From your analysis, do you think they are ready for Continental games?
To be honest, I tend to worry, especially for Zesco United. I was going through the team, and there's one thing that I've come to notice. Uh, Zesco is currently harboring a lot of I don't want to use the word overaged, but older players. We are looking at a good number of their players going above over 33 years or old in age. And for me, that is a very big worry because when it comes to continental football, we are looking at fast-paced football, and I'm not sure how we are going. I'm not sure how much Zesco has prepared in this line. But remember, uh, this year's representatives for Zambia actually have a very huge task because remember, some slots were taken away from Zambia because of bad performances in the previous campaigns by our different representatives in the competitions and all that. And these representatives for this year have got a very huge chance. Have got a very huge task of making sure that we try and reclaim those slots that were grabbed from us going forward because every performance from now on is very important. And Zesco actually, for me, are the big contenders in this case, and our big representatives whom all of us are relying on. But when I tend to look at the players they have, I really tend to worry, especially when it comes to the age. I don't know. I don't know if you have taken time to look at this, but age, especially age for the players. We are looking at players who are 36, 38, 33. A good number of the players that are dependable in that team are in that bracket. And for me, it's a very huge worry.
Thank you very much. Lamek, in the same line, do you agree with Lawrence? They went to Tanzania, that they draw with Azam. I think you saw that game, and then there's also a new signing in Serious Chibu.
Yeah, so I don't agree with what Lawrence is saying. Look, when we start breaking down both teams, I think Zesco United have done very good business this summer. We also go back to Red Arrows. Yes, they've bought a good number of players on loan, but if we start looking at their CAF Confederations Cup, the CAF Champions League and Confederation Cup journeys, I think Red Arrows, yes, they have tougher opponents. They have Primeira de Agosto, a team they narrowly beat last season. We beat Agosto 1-0 via an Alido Kaembe goal at Hero Stadium. Went to Angola, managed to pull a 0-0 draw there. And if you look at Red Arrows to this season, they have lost their kingpin defender in Trezochi Wabwa. They've lost their midfield genius in what's Alassane Diarra, yeah, Alassane, and also they've made last season goal scorer in the match against Agosto, Alido Kaembe, whose contract has not been renewed. But we have, for starters, we have a replacement for Trezor Chibwabwa with Rudy Makwekwe, highly rated defender. He's got CAF Champions League experience. He's coming in the Super League, highly rated. They have signed Richard Daka from Kafue Celtic, highly rated defender. He just needs more time. We may also look at the experience aspect. They may not have a team that has a lot of experience, but it is a team that can pull a result on any given day because the boys are equally talented. And looking at the games that they have, if they beat Primero de Agosto, they play against Simba, last season opponent, a team that knocked them out last season. For me, I've always felt that the conditions that Red Arrows played the first leg in disadvantaged their progression. But we have this other season that has come upon us now where we need to I expect better. They've done a lot of work, and our expectations have really gone high for Red Arrows Football Club. For Zesco United, yes, last season they were underachievers. They did not do much. They were knocked out in the first round. Coming into this season, I think the signings that they've made, Lawrence talked about the age, the players are older, but look, they have a good team that is a mix of youth and experience. You know, we have Songa Chipioka, the players that have really come in, the Austin Muowos that bring a lot of talent and also experience on the table. It is that balance that helps the team, pick results. You may not go with a completely young team because you need experience. Winning matches on the continent is not easy. Experience is very important. We've seen teams such as Sundowns who've had Kekana for a long time. He has been pivotal he was pivotal in their progression in the CAF Champions League, and them winning it. That is just an example of what experience can do for you. And this time around, Zesco has that experience. They have that mix of youth. They have the youthful players, and it's a visionary club. That we're just seeing that they are a visionary club. And when you look at their team, they have a couple of players that are key features with the national team. So that talks about quality also, that they have players that can play for the national team. And with time, let's give these teams time, but for immediate, what we need to get immediate is get back our 2 slots so that we have 4 slots in CAF competitions. So both teams will be working under a lot of pressure to perform and get results so that we may get back our 2 slots that we lost last season due to underperformance of our representative. All the 4 teams underperformed.
Thank you very much, Lamek. Let's also welcome Abia into this conversation. He's ready to join us. The director can bring Abia on. But in the meantime, Lamek, there is also the issue of the quota system. It is coming into play this time around. We now understand that the quota system limits the number of foreign players that each team can sign, okay, that can play in the Super League. Do you think this is going to help us, or it's going to destroy the Zambian Super League?
I may not say that it is going to destroy the Zambian Super League, but I've always been against the number that has been indicated in the quota system. I feel 5 is just too small for our teams. I think 10 foreign players would have been very much better for everyone. Because look, we're at a level where our grassroots are still in their infancy. We don't have like a platform that produces a lot of young players for our Super League, or maybe for players that we need to take internationally. So there's that gap in the players that can new players that will come into these teams, and then the older players. There's that big gap that was being covered by the foreign players. You understand? So when we start understanding this quota system, we look at recycling of players. We are going to see players playing for like 5 teams. We won't be able to see that consistency in the team. We'll be seeing, like, if we see a signing, we already know the players that are always transferring from club A to club B, from club A to club B, from C to D, just like that. So that is the effect of the quota system. But with time, it will work out. But for now, I think the number was just too small.
All right, we seem to have a challenge there with Lamek.
Okay.
Mr. Abia, let me bring you in on this one. Also, there's a system now that the Football Association has introduced in the Super League where each team can only feature or can only sign 5 foreign players. Do you think this is going to help the quality of the Zambian Super League?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for that. But as I was saying, when we look at, is there someone talking?
No, you can go ahead. You can finish your point before I go to Mr.
Yeah,
Abia.
yeah. So what I was saying is this: when we look at the quota system, its implementation is what is doesn't sit well with me. The number of players that have been put on the quota system, the five foreign players, we could have put it at least maybe 7 or 10. That could have been beneficial for both of us, and it would have given us time to develop the grassroots where these young players come from, these Zambian players that we should be relying on, should be coming from, to prevent the recycling of the same players. Look at our coaching system. We're always recycling the same coaches because we don't have a platform that will enable us to develop new coaches. It is now where we're seeing more coaches, going through CAF C, CAF B licenses. I think, yeah, those licenses that have now come up, that would actually increase the number of coaches that we would have. But that can also be applied to the quota system and the players that we have. We don't have that many players, and our grassroots that need to produce more players, it is not fully functional. It is still in its infancy. So for me, I think for now, when we talk about the quality of the ZSL, it has reduced compared to the last maybe 3 years. Last 3 years, we had a lot of competition. We had a lot of quality foreign players that had come in. But going into the continent, I feel our teams that are representing us in the continent have done some good work in terms of foreign players. They've signed, I think, some commendable foreign players.
Mr. Abia, in the same line, do you think this system is going to help the quality of the Zambian Super League?
I believe so because here in Zambia, if we say five, when you bring in five foreign players in a team, yeah, you expect them to play. But you cannot buy a player and then you put the player on the bench. So that means five players will be in the pitch, and then six players from Zambians will be in the pitch. This is also will bring a competition in the team, and then the other players also for us Zambian players, they will learn something from foreign players. So I think this is a massive development because we always go behind our pero like Morocco, Casablanca, where Casablanca now is. Casablanca were the smallest club, but now they are big club. So if you can copy the system that the Northerners are using, I think five players, foreign best players in the team, I think it will help us for the beginning. So the fans will see if that really helps or not. But I believe this will help because we learn a lot from those foreign players. So it will help us.
Thank you very much. Let me turn to Lawrence. Lawrence, you wanted to say something concerning the quota system.
Yeah, for me, there are two sides to this coin. First and foremost, the more the foreign players we have in the league, the more competitive it turns out to be because we tend to import talent from outside the country and make our league more entertaining and I mean more competitive. But my I've always asked myself the caliber of the foreign players that we always tend to sign. Most of the foreign players that play in our league do not even feature in their national teams, and this is just as things are right now. And for me, I think it helps nobody if we are bringing in the lowest of the qualities of the foreign players into our league, and then substitute them with our own players who are also not up to there. I feel it is better we concentrate on developing our players, our local players, and like developing other countries' players who
Okay,
are also not even
let
up
me
there.
cut you short, Lawrence. Let me cut you short on that one.
Yep.
So here's an and okay. I just hope that you may get to look at this quota system the way I look at it. So
Mhm.
when we talk about when we talk about foreign players, it was up to like the association and the relevant government bodies in restricting who comes into the country and who doesn't. Like the visa laws in the UK and Spain and any other country in Europe, they are strict. So those were the same measures we could have taken and not restricting on the numbers. So if we can get, how
No,
much does it cost
I
us?
think
Look, let me
I
just
would
give
want
you a
you to
simple
look at it.
example. Let me just give you
I
a
would want
simple
you to look
example.
at
Like
it
a player
in
from
this way. In this way.
a player from Malawi, a national team player from Malawi, let's say Gabadinho Muhango. How much does he get paid? You
Mm-hmm.
understand? Which Zambian club will
Mm-hmm.
pay such a player? I have one player who's left the Zambian Super League, gone to a PSL side. Here in Zambia, he was getting roughly, I won't give the correct numbers, but roughly he was getting between 30,000 to 40,000. He joins a South African club. This is not a mid-table club or a top league club. It is a club that is maybe in the bottom 6 in its ranking, if you are to rank it, because it's basically a new club in South Africa. He gets salary today. He gets close to like 90,000. You understand? So you see the comparison. Which Zambian club will pay a top league
Now
player
we are talking about the
90,000?
same thing. Now we are talking about the same thing. We do not
No,
have
we are not
we do
talking.
not have the money.
But
Exactly.
how will the money
Exactly.
the money
At
will
the end of
only
the
come
day,
in?
at the end of the day, we look at it. Are we able to sign the high caliber players? We are not. The
Look,
only players that we have are
let me tell you
those down.
Look, if we start looking at the financial books of clubs such as Zesco United, during the time that they played well in the CAF Champions League, you'd find that per season they would make as high as maybe 6 million kwacha. You understand? Just from CAF competitions. You understand? Coupled with the sponsorship money. Do you tell me that if Zesco is going to make 6 million kwacha, they would fail to pay a player 90,000? You understand?
But how many clubs are able to sign high caliber players and they pay them the deserved wage? That's where my bone of contention is. I feel it is better we allow the clubs as it is right now, because even Zesco itself, you cannot tell me Zesco can sign 10 players and pay them 90,000 kwacha. 90,000 kwacha you're talking about. It's practically no, we are not there yet.
So no. I'm not talking about being there yet. Look, what I mean is that football growth. You need to understand football growth. Practical example. I'll give you a very common example. Before we had the Manchester Cities, the Newcastles of nowadays, the Tottenhams, we had the Liverpools. You understand? We had the Manchester United. Before the Chelseas came in somewhere 205, we had the Nottingham Forest back in the day. They were the big money bags. You understand? They were making money for the league. You understand? Making the league look attractive. So today we need teams. We may not have all 18 teams paying their players 90,000 or close to that. Some teams may be paying their players as low as maybe 5,000. That is acceptable, but we need teams that make the league look attractive for sponsors and for the outside world. We need to have more people watching our leagues for our league to grow. Look at how much other leagues, like the bigger leagues, make out of TV rights. You understand? That is where money from that these teams make come from. But today, if you are going to tell me that such a project that we had that was going so well, Zesco was doing much better. They managed to beat Mamelodi Sundowns, but they lost it along the way, and Mamelodi Sundowns has grown. Zesco has stayed and reduced on their quality along the 2-3 years that have passed so far. That in itself has reduced our league. You understand? The fact that Zesco's performances and quality has declined has reduced the ratings of our league. You understand? Compared to the other teams like Nkana that haven't been doing well financially, they've reduced on their leagues. Nkana were paying some of their players as high as $3,000 to $4,000 back in the day. But today Nkana, I might stand to be corrected, but today Nkana may not even have a player that they are paying $4,000 today. You understand? It is because of a lot of aspects that surround the game. You don't only wait for money from the sponsor. You make your money through, TV rights, the branding in the stadium. If you're playing Champions League, for a sponsor to come and place their adverts in your stadium, you get more money than they pay you when you're playing a local match. You understand? That is where money that comes in. And the more sponsors you have, it first starts with one team. Then it goes to 2 teams. It goes to 3 teams. We had Forest Rangers playing in the Confederations Cup. You understand? That shows that other teams are showing, like they're copying what other teams are doing, and they're gaining that into success. With time, we'll have more teams. If we have 10 teams in the Super League that are able to pay salaries as high as 60,000, then I think it would be a very attractive league for the bigger.
All right, Jed. The quota system has always been a political.
Actually, we share the same view on all that.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
You can go ahead,
Alright.
Reuben.
All right. The quota system has.
Yeah,
always...
I'm here. I was trying to say I actually agree with Lamek on quite a number of things that he has elaborated. I do agree, 100%. I think Reuben, you had frozen. I didn't get your last part.
I was saying, go ahead.
Reuben.
Lawrence,
Lamek, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
So what I'm trying to say is that I actually agree with Lamek on quite a number of things that he has elaborated on here. Yeah. So I agree on quite a number of things that you have elaborated on, and actually we are on the same page on that. But I feel if we want to develop at the national team level, the only place we can build our players is in our league, and let us agree on that. If we will not have our players
on the
as much
national team,
players,
we'll never agree on that one.
you may hold on to finish.
I may do what? You can finish, Reuben. Go ahead.
This is
What
not
I'm
a
saying is
political
what I'm
discussion.
saying is that what I'm trying to say is that if we are going to have competition at national team level, the only place we can have development from is in our league. No other league will have more Zambians than our own league. And if we are going to allow it in the levels where, if you look at, actually, I always give the English Premier League as a very good example, where the league has been infiltrated by so much talent from all over the world. And the English national team itself, they actually have they actually boast that they have the best league in the world, and yet the same country that has got the best league in the world cannot win any tournament as things stand right now. The best they have ever done is reach a final of the Euros of late. from the last time they won the World Cup in the 60s and all that, they have not come they have not come again to a challenge at that top level, because they have allowed their league to be infiltrated as much. But what I also want to say is that even with them, the English Premier League, they have got a specific number of players set aside for their own homegrown talent. They have not really said English players, they have actually let it open and said homegrown talent. And homegrown talent can actually be those players who have come from the academies, from the clubs, and in England. Well and good. Why can't we, a small country, a small footballing country like Zambia, have such kind of rules? We should actually look at some of these things in our to our own advantage. And I see what Faz is trying to do here. And for me, actually, I totally agree with them. If we grow to have that financial muscle of having to import world class talent, we can probably increase the number so that we can have that we can have that chance of having our local players play with world class talent. As things stand right now, the only players we can import are players who are not even in their national team first choices. That is where I also stand to say, Faz, here, kudos to you, because there is no way we can have players who do not even feature in their national team come and play here in our league and even bench our own local players. For what? I mean, let's allow our players develop as well. This is the only league they can develop from. This is the only league Zambians can participate in. Let's look at it in those lines, and that is where I say, Faz, well done on this.
All right,
No,
we've labored
look,
too much.
you're looking at the league. Look, football is a business. You understand? Football is a business. Don't look at it at the aspect of no, we need to get the boy from Kanyama and come. He plays. Football doesn't work like that. Football is a business. You understand? Let the best compete against the best.
Point taken, Lamek. We need to move on, gents. We need to move on. We've got a lot on the table. Let's also debate now, because this league, for the first time, it seems we're going to have 17 teams because of the Lusaka Dynamos and Bitcoin saga. But Bitcoin has been cleared. I've seen they'll be playing this weekend. Bring us to speed, Lamek, on this saga.
Yeah, so when we look back at Bitcoin and Lusaka Dynamos, both were ambitious teams, very ambitious teams, with very beautiful projects that they had started. But along the way, I think they got their objectives very wrong. They started signing players with huge transfer fees, and then one thing for these teams were that they were being run by individuals, unlike the quasi-government owned teams. You know, we just have about less than 4 teams in the Zambian Super League that are owned by individuals and are not owned or supported by the government institutions. You understand? So it was more difficult for these clubs to come. They changed. Look, Lusaka Dynamos and Bitcoin are 2 clubs that changed the landscape of the Zambian league. You understand? Players are able to get more money today because of the exploit that these 2 teams brought. They came into the scene and started paying players more money. Back in the day, we had players that were getting as low as 1.5, playing in the Super League, getting 1.5. But when these 2 teams came, they started paying their players 20,000, 40,000, others going as high as, I think, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 back then. They were paying their players in dollars. But along the way, they forgot the business aspect of the same football. You understand? So football has an investment stage where when you own a club, you have a stage where you need to invest in the club and hope that it grows. And then as you invest, the club needs to also start sustaining other departments on its own. You don't stop sponsoring, but the club should be able to sustain itself. Let's say the technical staff, players, and all of that, it needs to become a business that will be able to sustain itself. This is where Lusaka Dynamos and Bitcoin got their stuff wrong. They did not attain that level of growth. And then what happened is that because of the high transfer fees that these players, the salaries that these players were getting, it became unsustainable. So they started ending up defaulting on payments of the players. Players were not getting their salaries, their sign-on fees were not being paid. Other players, foreign players, would terminate their contracts and look for other clubs. They would take these clubs to FIFA for FIFA to come in and help them get back their monies. These clubs were served with warning letters from FIFA to say pay these players. Lusaka Dynamos was once listed as I forgot an association that deals with I think is it FIFPro. Yeah, FIFPro had listed Lusaka Dynamos as one of the red listed clubs. So when you're listed as that club, it advises players not to sign for that club because it has problems in paying their players. You understand? This was not. This is something that I feel was self-inflicted by both clubs. But because even after those letters were being served by FIFA, both these clubs were failing to abide by what instructions that the FIFA was getting. And FAS have been very lenient on these clubs. For a long time, FAS has been very lenient on these clubs. They were banned. They can't sign players. When they leave, when players that they had left, they would be found in a situation maybe they just have 14 or 15 players. You wouldn't believe me if I told you like last season Bitcoin had just less than 30 players. You understand? They did so well, but they had less than 30 players. And with the bans that were coming in, they failed to sign, I think, 2 youngsters. In Abel Kanyamunya, who had come from Portugal, they failed to register him because they were banned at that particular time. You understand? So this was time for FAS to come in, but I feel that the letters, the communication made by the association was made too late. I think the communication would have been made maybe a month or 2 before to say, okay, if you don't get your house right, you're not playing the Super League, so that the team is given more time to organize its house. If it has pending suspensions, or work around those pending suspensions, and like a week before the league starts. You understand? But it's good that Bitcoin have been cleared. They'll be playing their game against Nchanga Rangers in Chingola on Sunday. That is a very huge positive. We just hope that they've learned their lesson, and going forward they will adapt a more sustainable way to manage the club. For Lusaka Dynamos, we still wait and see how this pans out, but hoping for the best, and I hope they have also learned their lesson in in managing the club much better and more sustainable.
Thank you very much, Lamek, for bringing us to speed. Mr. Abia, if everything goes to the west for Lusaka Dynamos, it means that we're going to have 17 teams in the league. So each weekend, one of the team has to rest because they won't have any opponent. Do you think that will be a fair league to go by?
I think that will not be fair because when you accept the Zambia Super League to play like that, I think FAS has to intervene, give the period, the specific period for those teams to clear their thing. Because
Mr. Abia,
if those
Mr.
teams
Abia, there's no time for FAS. The league is starting tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's a bit late. So we are going to have one less team, then the other playing. So I think that is not the good for them.
Lawrence, how do you look at it having 17 teams in the league instead of 18?
I think if there is one thing that I've not liked so much on about our league is the fact that season in, season out, we always have quite a number of boardroom points being awarded to some teams and all that. And this already looks like we are going to have such kind of a case where probably tomorrow's opponents get 3 points. Tomorrow's opponents for Lusaka Dynamos get 3 points for nothing. And or maybe they decide to just chop off and forget about that sport. And but all the same, I think FAS should have worked out a modality if communication was made earlier, and the clubs could not fulfill the demands of the football association, and made out modalities to ensure that there is a replacement. If it means promoting another team from Division One, I think for me it would have worked out well and best. Unlike having this kind of a scenario, to be honest, it's unfortunate that some a slot will go begging like that, and that's like having a team which should comprise of over 24 players plus the technical bench and also administrative staff being denied a chance to be represented in the highest league in the country. So I feel FAS should have worked out some modalities and made sure that at least that slot is also taken up if Lusaka Dynamos does not fulfill what the Football Association has asked them to do. But in this case, well, the show must go on, and it's unfortunate. And I'm just curious to know what happens to everybody who is supposed to face Lusaka Dynamos in the fixture. Is it just a rest day, or they get 3 points, or I don't know? I'm really interested to know.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lawrence. I'm still on you because what we have to talk about Kansanshi Dynamos. Really, an interesting stuff. They play their games at Independence Stadium. Unfortunately, the stadium is under renovation and it's not yet ready. They agreed with Concola that they should be using their uh, stadium for the home games. The fans in Solwezi have refused. What's your take on that issue?
My take is that it's a wake-up call to each and every club in Zambia out there. Let's try to have our permanent bases. Let's try to have our own infrastructure. I think this is the only way we can develop in this league, if each and every club actually have their own infrastructure. In this way, even if we have renovations, they are well planned, and they will be planned in a way not to inconvenience the teams. At this point in time, if Independence Stadium is a government is a public infrastructure, and was earmarked for upgrades and all that. But all the same, let's encourage our local teams to have, even if I think I do not mind, even if it's a ground with a few stands and all that. For me, I do not mind, but as long as each and every football club in the Super League have their own infrastructure, I think it works out perfect for everybody and avoid all this kind of inconvenience. But as things stand, actually, I was talking to someone. Back home for the for the team, and they were complaining that they have actually paid membership for the team, and looks like the club is planning on shifting the home ground for the team into Lusaka. It's not working out for the fans, and obviously there is so much outcry back home because of the same. But I hope the club finds a way out of this, because the league starts tomorrow and we should not be talking about such kinds of things. I think it's also imperative that the owners of the infrastructures that these clubs are using should be able to communicate future renovations or future upgrades to their infrastructures beforehand, so that the clubs are also given ample time to solicit or find a temporary home in that event. But in this case, the club is going to suffer a lot, and they have a lot of fans to appease as things stand, and I do not know exactly how they are going to move out and find a way out of this situation right now.
Lamek, your take on this issue? The rumors that Kansanshi will be using the Lumwana Stadium.
Yeah, so I can safely confirm that Lumwana Radiants have reached an agreement with Kansanshi Dynamos for the lease of their stadium. So this is in a bid to keep Premier League football in Northwestern Province. If you go back a season or two ago, Lumwana Radiants back in the COVID days, the Lumwana mine had the more stricter COVID-19 measures. So Lumwana Radiants were banned from using the stadium because of the fans. It's like an open stadium, so like fans would always come and all of that. So they had to talk to Kansanshi Dynamos. Kansanshi rented them their stadium. They would play their games at Kansanshi Stadium. And we saw what happened to Lumwana Radiants. They ended up getting relegated that season. It was always difficult to play their games away from home, but away from home. So for Kansanshi Dynamos, they are suffering similar fate. But we need to go back to where these all things started. If you look at those stadiums are either council-owned or privately owned. You understand? And then playing in those stadiums should not only be about having a habitable stadium. Just because it has some toilets, it has a dressing room, it has a good pitch, then we can go ahead and play the Super League in there. We need to have we need to start now upgrading the stadiums. The call by FAS to upgrade that stadium, I think it's a positive call, but when rushed, I feel the money that was invested in getting that stadium renovated may ended up, it will just become a white elephant in the end of the day, and we may need to start hearing explanations a year or down the line, because $250,000 to $300,000 will build you a high-class stadium. We've seen stadiums in Scotland, in the English lower division leagues. They're very good, beautiful-looking stadiums. If you look at their budgets, the budgets were within range of $300,000, $250,000. So I feel if this is all rushed, the money will just go down the drain. We may start hearing stories at the end of the day, but we have to feel for Kansanshi Dynamos. They have their own Kabitaka Stadium, and then the sponsors, their sponsors have reassured them that by December the stadium will be available for their games. So they may play, I think, part of their first round games, home games away from home. They may play maybe 6 to 8 matches at home in Lumwana, but the rest of the second round they'll be back in Solwezi, either at Kabitaka Stadium or the same Independence Stadium. But for me, I felt the project that was at Independence Stadium should have been left until its successful completion. If it's gonna take 6 months, if it's gonna take 8 months, we would have left it for it to reach its course. But at this point in time, we can't basically, blame Kansanshi Dynamos for what is going on. They are also victims right now. They are also trying, there's been a lot of unrest in Solwezi when it was announced that the stadium would not be available because they had heaps of sand on the pitch. They had to look for an alternative pitch for training. Because they would use the stadium for training, they had to use an alternative pitch for training. They delayed in starting their pre-season for all of that. So it may disturb their rhythm to the start of the league, because after their good showing last season, we expected much better. But with all this going around, it may get to the head of the players and they underperform at the end of the day. But Lumwana Stadium, for now, we pray and hope that they may make it their home and start to get positive results there, as we wait for them to secure a good home for themselves.
Thank you very much. Mr. Abia, let's start with you. Let's look at the fixtures starting tomorrow, because the Zambian Super League is back, and the first game, it's Nkwazi versus Power Dynamos. What do you expect in this game?
Yeah, I expect a very good competitive game. Bwezani, the Power Dynamos, they are a strong team. So even when Bwezani is playing at home, they make sure uh, they make their fans happy. And when the Power Dynamos also, they take each and every game very serious. So I think this will be a very, very good game. I hope this game will end up with draw or a win for us.
All right, thank you very much. Lamek, the APSA Cup final is back once again, and the Charity Shield game is back again. It's Red Arrows versus Napster Stars at Nkoloma Stadium.
This is turning out to be a very big game. Two tactical masterminds taking on against each other. I think for the APSA Cup, well deserved by Napsa Stars. They beat Red Arrows. They had a good plan. They shut Red Arrows down when everyone thought that Red Arrows was going to walk over Napsa Stars. The Charity Shield, we also what happened. Red Arrows showed they are dominant. They managed to break that Napsa Stars team down. They managed to beat them 1-0. Going into the league is a whole different ball game. You understand? The league is a whole different ball game, and I feel Napsa's approach, they may play a defensive game, but they may try to hit Red Arrows on the counter. But with the signings that Red Arrows have, I feel it's a very big day for Red Arrows, and there's so much at stake. And disappointing, I don't think it's on the plate for Red Arrows. I would give Red Arrows a straight win. It's a tough match, but I feel Red Arrows will walk victorious that day.
So, Lawrence, let's go to the Sunday fixture. It's Nkana versus Kawe Warriors. We know Kawe Warriors have signed Chicken George as their coach. Nkana have Chambeshi. What a game!
What a game we have on our hands. But I would really apologize to Chicken himself on this one. But I feel Nkana should have the better of this game. But I must say, I'm quite an admirer of the works of George Chicken Wandamina, because most of the teams that he has touched turned out to be good. But I know he's not yet established himself at the club there in Kawe. But I still expect Nkana to pull up something there.
Thank you very much, Lamek. It's a big game at Nkana Stadium. It's Chicken versus Chambeshi, two experienced coaches.
I feel Kawe Warriors have the slighter edge compared to Nkana FC. If we look at their transfer business, Kawe Warriors have done very good business compared to Nkana FC. Nkana have barely put in a lot of players in terms of quality. The players that they've brought in, I don't think they bring a lot of quality to the team that has a legendary status in Zambian football. But football being what it is, and kind of playing at home, they have a lot of pressure to start on a good winning note. But for me, I feel Kawe Warriors have done a lot of business, and with the experience of George Chicken Wandamina and the time that he spent at Kawe Warriors, I think a lot of positives can be picked from what he's doing so far. And going into the weekend's game, it will be a tough match. It has always been a tough match. Nkana versus Kawe Warriors has always been a tough match. Last season, Kawe Warriors beat Nkana at their home stadium. This season may not be different. It's a positive result for Kawe Warriors. It can come, but it will be a tough match, I feel.
Reuben, you're on mute.
All right, thank you for that. I was saying another big game is at Levi Manawasa Stadium, because Kansanshi Dynamos will be playing against Forest Rangers at Levy Manasa Stadium. Mr. Abia, that another big game because Kansanshi, yes, they are away, but they want to get the maximum point at Hero Stadium when they visit Forest Malembe.
Yeah, you said Kazan's Dynamos are good. What is that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think let me start with a bit of Galampa because I'm a Ghana soccer fan, you know. So I think for you Cow Warriors, I think Mkese Namuria, you know, Pachirata, it's part. You know, playing at playing at Nichetu Chabuno Manegi. So I think Mkese Namuria, the Cow Warriors. So talking about Forest Rangers and this other team, I think Forest Rangers is also a good side. Uh, yeah, I'm not really following this team, but I have a bit of history of that team. They have been playing well. They have been so consistent in the Premier League. There is a team that is not always in the season fighting for the station. It's a team that has a fighting spirit. So I think it will be a good game and a win for Forest.
Wow, a win for Forest. Now, Lamek, let's dive into let's go into it. In the game, Musa versus Green Buffaloes, the Nyanta boys. Uh, I'm expecting fireworks in that game because Masa also want to prove a point, and Musa also want to show that this time around they're not just coming to the Super League to visit, but they are residents of this league.
Yeah, so we start with the home team. Musa have done a lot of good work for themselves. Last season they did a lot of good work. This season they've kept 99% of the players that they had in the lower league, in the National League. They've come into the Premier League. They've looked for reinforcement, not so impressive reinforcements, but with the team that they had, I felt they needed a little bit more experience to that team. Yes, they looked for the players that they looked, but I'm not impressed with those players. But we'll wait and see what they have to offer to us, the fans that will be following this team closely. Then we go to Green Buffaloes. Green Buffaloes unveiled 8 new players yesterday. They unveiled their new kit for the season. We also have some players that were sent out on loan that were deemed surplus to requirement. Looking at the players that they have, they got about 4 players from Kafue Celtic and 4 other players, I think, from leagues around. Others from Lusaka Dynamos, another from Pulungu Haba. Yeah, so it all goes back to the influence that the coach will have on the players going into match day 1. That will be will be very important. What the coach will say to the boys and what impact he will have on the players going into match day 1. It may work out or it may not work out. You know, preseason, we may not count what was done in preseason. Green Buffaloes have had a really quiet preseason. They haven't had that many games to play. They played against teams such as Atletico Lusaka, City of Lusaka, and all of that, but they cannot be compared to teams such as Red Arrows compared to their preseason. But we are not taking anything away from Green Buffaloes. They've done good works. I think they have a good team with a very experienced team. We have young players, very good players like Gordon Mashatas, who's almost breaking into the under 23 national team and the senior national team, receiving a call up for the COSAFAs and all tournaments. It also shows the youthful side of the team. With time, we'll get to see more of this Green Buffalo side, but the first thing that we need to look at is the impact that Masauso will have on these players going into match day 1. That will be very cardinal going forward. If he has an immediate impact, it will boost their confidence going into the rest of the games, but it will be a tough match. Musa had to break at home. They may just shock everyone and pick a result against the big boys, the Nyanta boys, but it's a tough match, and we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow.
Lamek, what of the newcomers, Chambeshi? They will come Zesco at Chambeshi Stadium.
Yeah, it's another tough match. Chambishi last season beat Nkana home and away. I think they are one of the few teams that managed to beat Nkana home and away last season. They will come as a Zesco team that has brought in a lot of reinforcements. Going into the league, a league is a different ballgame. We just wait and see if at the start of the league, Numba will go with a mix of the new players and the old players, or he will first stick to the the old players that he had last season, and start introducing his new signings little by little. But it may work out if he goes with a mixture of new and old players. Then it may work out or it may not work out. But Chambishi is a tough nut to crack at Chambishi Stadium, and Zesco should go there very prepared. They've done their good business, yes, but it's time to practice now. You know, there's the theory and the practical. They've done a lot of theory. Now is the time to do the practical, and a lot is expected from Zesco United and Numba. And Numba has been criticized from day one that the team is too big for him. This is his time to show that actually he can manage that big elephant that people feel is too. He can chew what he can swallow what he's chewing. That is what we expect.
Great there. Lawrence, let me get you also your views concerning the game of Zesco versus Prison Leopards. Prison Leopards are at home. Zesco will be traveling to Kawe at President Stadium.
I like Lamek has put it across. Zesco has had quite a good transfer, a good summer transfer window, and they have always been giants, I should say. But traveling to the Leopards to Kabwe and facing the Kabwe Leopards there. Prison Leopards there. It has never been an easy fixture for any of the big guys. I think going by the results from last season, but I expect quite a result from Zesco, I should say, and I expect to see quite some performances from the new boys that Zesco has brought on this time around, and. For me, I look at it as a good dress rehearsal for the league actually as it starts, because pre-seasons have been quite elusive for a lot of Zambian teams, I should say. But Zesco has had the chance to participate and play their likes of Azam and all that, and the experience that they gained in the mini tournament and in Tanzania should come and show here and present itself as the giants of Zambian football as usual. So I expect quite a slender win for Zesco in this fixture.
A slender win.
And Reuben, on that one, the fixture is Zanaco versus Chambishi, not Zesco versus Chambishi.
Yes, I don't know how you mix the two, because you're right.
For Zanaco, they haven't done a lot of business, but we saw KK Chipuka in the four team tournament, a player that had scored 30 goals in the season last season. A lot is expected from Zanaco, but with the signings that they've made, I don't think they may have that much impact. It's a tough match at Chambishi Stadium. And for Zesco United traveling to Kawe, it's always a tough match when they play in Kawe against Prison Leopards. Leopards have also done some good business. They may not have signed highly rated players, but they've signed some really impressive players that they've brought in, a few from Butcon and the others from other teams around. But both games, Zanaco versus Chambishi is a tough match. And then we also look at Zesco versus Prison Leopards. That's another tough match. Each game in this match day one is a game to watch, because we are yet to see what these teams have in store for us.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, gents, we need to conclude because the time is not our best ally. The Zambian Super League, Bola Yapa Zed, is back. Your last words, Lawrence. Let me start with you.
I'll actually express gladness that the league is back. Our own league is back. The only league we can call our own is back. And I think this season I would urge as many of us Zambians to support this league, fill up the stadiums, watch the televised matches, and push multi-choice to actually probably, if possible, just give us also a channel for Bola Yapa Zed. And I think we can manage to have that kind of an arrangement and sustain it with so much content, because I think the content is there to be created. The content creators are ready. We hope that this time around we can see the passion from the fans. And one aspect I expect some improvement on is actually the refereeing standards in our league, and hope this time around we can see a betterment in that department. And kudos to FAS that has indicated that we shall see VAR coming on board as well soon in our league, and we hope to see that come to fruition. Hopefully this very season, I expect that. And if someone from FAS is watching us, they should know that we have heard what they have said, and we are also so much expectant in that line. And hopefully we shall see the fans as well support these teams by replica jerseys, and hopefully also each and every one of us should support a club and buy some replica jerseys as well, so that we can support these clubs also financially and in all that, so that in future, as this quota system comes on, we shall be able to say no, we can now push the numbers a little bit higher and accommodate much more foreign talent and all that. And I think those are my expectations for this league this season.
Lamek, Bola Yapa Zed is back, and also address one issue that we see in the Zambian Super League is the clash of the kits.
Yeah, I think I may not have so many words to say, but Bola Yapa Zed is back. I live and love Bola Yapa Zed. A lot has been said. It's time for action. We need to watch our favorite stars in action, go head to head, our favorite teams. Message to the fans: turn out in numbers, support your local team. You know, as Mr. Abia is here, Nkana fan, go and support that Nkana team. Go crazy, pay the membership, support the club, buy the replicas, and all of that. Another message is where you talked about kit clashes. I think FAS has been trying in the background to, put in better organization of matches. I think a day or two before, teams may be able to know which kits they'll be putting on. And I think that's an issue that is being addressed, and it is an embarrassing issue. But it's time that FAS is acting, and with time, as the league starts, I hope that we may not have any of those kit clashes, because FAS has done a lot of background work to prevent kit clashes this season.
And on that one, just to ask Lamek, haven't we adopted the issue of home kit and away kit, and knowing the home side always wears this kit at home, and the away side must also always try to come with something different in case they're traveling, and the home side wears a certain color that resembles the color they use?
No. Look, when we talk about kits, the home team, yes, we have home jerseys, we have away jerseys, we have alternate jerseys. So the home team is not like fully mandated to put on, if their home color is green, they are fully mandated to put on green. You understand? It is not a full mandate that they need to put on green. They can put on red. You understand? As long as it's on their kits. What is the basic is that you need to communicate. Look at the Newcastle. Is it Newcastle against which team in the Premier League? It was known a week before. Like last week, we had an announcement that Newcastle will be using their training kits for an official Premier League match because all their jerseys clash with their opponents' jerseys. So that does not mean that because you wear green home, then you have to wear green. You understand? So that is just to avoid any kit clashes. So what is expected is just better education around the kids to clubs and organizing traveling teams in their organization when they travel out.
Thank you very much. Let me go to Mr. Abia. Mr. Abia, sorry because there's no Super League in the Eastern Province, but I know you'll be following all the action live on Super Sport. Bola Yapa Zed ya Bwezani, Mr. Abia.
Yeah. Chipata is really a big town. I think one day, one more time, we'll produce a team into the Premier League. I don't know when, but we'll do that. Zambia Super League is back indeed, and my emphasis is really on the soccer fans. Please, let's maintain our discipline. You know, we are as for me, but I'm watching on television, but you there in the pitch, please maintain discipline, especially you there at the Kalampa, the Ghana, there at Kilata. Please, let's maintain discipline. Don't go into the field, in the pitch. No, that is unacceptable. People will ban that club, so we will be nowhere to contain. So I think let's maintain our discipline. As for match officials, please let's respect rule of law. Each and every incident has a procedure. Let's follow procedure on raising our case. Don't take the law into our own hands. No, let's watch football. Football is a beautiful game. So let's respect the rules, and then the Super League will be beautiful because it is all the super sport. Other countries are watching us. So if they see soccer fans going to the pitch, that means we are invading our own pitch. That means we are also damaging our own pitch. It is also our money that we are being paid that we belong to. So I think all sorts of people, let's respect the beautiful game. Salute to the Super League. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abia. Thank you, Lamek. Thank you, Lawrence. Guys, I'll see you next week, same time. This has been a edition of Ubuntu Sports for this week. We've been looking at Bola Yapa Zed is back because the Zambian Super League is starting tomorrow, and next week we'll give you all the results concerning the Zambian Super League. For now, it's good night and God bless you.